if I'm involved in a low-speed motor vehicle collision, can I be seriously injured? And the answer is yes. I mean, in fact, it's surprising how often that's the case. Usually what we see is it's involving a brain injury, so a TBI, particularly those that have had prior concussions or other brain injuries in the past, because each time you have one, it makes it more likely you're going to have one again. In other words, the threshold to have one in terms of the force applied to the brain is lower, and unfortunately, the severity is often increased. Each time you have one, it gets worse and worse. It takes longer to recover. So those are going to be quite valuable, even though it's a low speed, 10, 15 mile an hour rear ender. If you get a certain whiplash movement, doesn't even need to strike your head. If you get a coup contra coup movement where your brain's jostled inside your skull, particularly if you're susceptible because of prior similar events, then you can certainly develop a relatively significant TBI. Those are claims that are, frankly, kind of hard to deal with if you don't have a lawyer at your side, because the insurance company just looks at the property damage. Well, there's only $500 in property damage. You couldn't have been hurt that bad. They try to shortchange the client by arguing it doesn't look that bad, there's not much damage, you can't be hurt that bad, it must be something else. And they offer pennies on the dollar. Whereas when we get involved, we look at it, we line the client up with a neurologist, we look at the neurological studies, we look at the imaging studies, we may have them see a neuropsychologist to be tested on the battery test that lays a foundation as to the effects of the incident on their brain, whether it's their cognition, their memory, their ability to understand language, their ability to coordinate, ability to move their hands and their feet and keep balance, things of that nature. And you'd be shocked as to the effects of a relatively minor impact, particularly if it involves a brain injury. Similarly, you can have spinal injuries, generally the neck, in a low-speed rear-end collision. A person may have susceptibility where they had some degeneration of their spine and they had a herniation or a fissure, or there was a crack in a part of the disc that's separating the two vertebrae. And again, the insurance companies will take the position, hey, it wasn't a big impact, there's not much property damage there, so you must not have been hurt all that much, when in fact they are. And we can see that in imaging. And they'll argue it wasn't enough damage to cause that, so it must have been pre-existing. So we work with them, with the neurosurgical team and the orthopedist, to be able to prove that this was caused from the low-speed crash and not something else. So it's incredibly complex, believe it or not. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of understanding of the medicine, as well as the legal parameters and the rights and responsibilities that our client and the insurance carrier have, and to be able to position the claim in such a way to get a good recovery can be difficult. But that's why we do what we do. That's why we specialize in personal injury and don't do other types of law, because we like to be the best that we can possibly be out there and do right by our clients.